Okay, we good. Okay. So hello everybody. My name is Nantantla and welcome to the Plan of Action show. Today we have Bennet Motloutsi as a guest on this show today, and we've been trying to do this, so finally I'm excited it's happening. So Bennett,
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. So this is where we preview and talk to value edians about their experience at Value Aid and what are they planning to do with the knowledge that they have. So I'm excited to hear from you. So the first question is, tell us more about yourself. Who is Bennett, and where do you come from? What do you do? What are you passionate about? Just brief us a bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, Natasha, and hi to all the value audience. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Um, who is Bennett? Wow, it's such a. I think I'm. So my background is I studied a BCom in business informatics. So I'm a tech enthusiast. I love everything tech related, business related, strategy related. Um, I'm an avid reader. I like reading books. I believe like human potential is like, limitless. So you have to continuously develop yourself and continue bettering yourself, as you go along. I'm an easygoing person. Like I said, I like technology. So I'm always following the trends and everything that's going on in that space. So yeah, I think that's like me in a nutshell. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Bennett. So, how did you find out about Value Aid? Because I know your journey is quite interesting, and you have, developed so much since you first got into
Mm.
Value Aid, and it's really lovely to see when you get to witness people actually using the skills that they're getting at Value Aid. So, how did you get to know about Value Aid? And how did you feel maybe when you were invited to the overview or the first session?
Okay, so how I got to know about Value Aid was I was part of a program from Devia, Power BI data analysis apprenticeship program with Devia. So through that program, we were introduced to Devia, excuse me, to Value Aid, where we had one of the sessions with Value Aid, and I guess I fell in love with the mission and vision of Value Aid and everything that you guys stand for. I think it aligned with me. So that's how I was introduced um, to Value Aid. And then what was the second question? Because I know it's like two parts.
It was how did you get to hear about Value Aid, and how did you
Mhm.
feel when you were invited to your first session?
How I felt, I wasn't sure what I was going to experience during the sessions. I felt like, okay, was it just going to be, a typical motivational talk? Hey, we have the same 24 hours. What are you doing with yours? That type of stuff. But when we got into it, there was a very personal touch to it, because I think the first session was with Uncle Vic. So he was the one asking us questions in the session, and he made everything very relatable because I think a lot of the content you watch on personal development is from an American context. So having that bridge into the South African context and furthermore into the youth context of continuously developing yourself. So I was like really excited once we got into the session. So before I was like a bit skeptical, but then as we got into it, I was like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense, and you can apply these steps to your life as well. So,
Yeah, that's interesting because when I got introduced to Value Aid through a teaching course. But then when I got
mhm.
in there, when I attended the self-mastery course, I was just blown away and I was like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be, especially in my journey right now, right? So I guess my next question would be, how has your journey been so far? And what have you found to be the most interesting, or what's your favorite course rather, in value add?
Oof, favorite course. I think it's a hmm, I'm trying because I have two favorites, but if I have to pick one, I think it was self-mastery. Definitely. I think the self-mastery because I learned so much about myself through that process. Because when it was a very interactive session. So there was points where we do polls or points where the speaker would ask us questions and now you have to take notes and think, oh, okay, what is the answer to that for me? So I think definitely the self-mastery course was one that stood out for me.
And then now I'm curious, what's the second one? What's your second favorite?
The AI one, the one on AI, breaking down, the trends of, artificial intelligence. For me, that is just mind blowing in terms of what we could do with that type of technology and how I think it can help bridge the gap um, or the knowledge gap for a lot of us, a lot of people who might not have a technology background, but you can use things like artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Bard, and so forth to bridge that gap between the knowledge that you maybe weren't able to get and sort of put you on par with those that do have the knowledge and experience.
I know, I see. So now,
Mm.
Value Aid is quite a broad platform, and you get to meet a lot of different people and just interact with a lot of different people at Value Aid, right? So
Mm.
again, the whole purpose of the show is for you to tell us, your way forward. So what's your plan? How are you planning to utilize the skills that you have gained in Value Aid? And have you started using some of them? And what are some of the ones that you are still planning on using or just tapping into?
Okay. So I think first part of the question, what skills am I using now? It's definitely some of the skills learned in the self-mastery course about hello, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Uh,
I just want to charge quickly.
okay, no problem. I can keep going, right?
Yes, please keep going.
Okay. So one of the skills that I'm already using is doing sort of a self-evaluation, self-analysis, and just to understand what are my skills, what do I think that I'm good at, what are my strengths, and I've been able to take that and kind of align it to where I'd like to be, and sort of finding which marketplace values the skills that I have and the skills or the things that I think are my strengths. So that's something that I'm really trying to do and trying to put myself out there more on LinkedIn and put those things that I believe are my strengths, put it more out there on LinkedIn. So hopefully it reaches the right target audience. And then things that I think I would use in the future or I would like to implement, I think would be definitely content creation and the skills we learned in the digital business CEO course. I think those were very interesting, just how you could basically run a business from anywhere in the world with just a laptop and Wi-Fi connection. So those two, yeah, those are the two that I'm really looking forward to using.
Yeah, well, and how's the, get self-analysis, identifying your strengths? Because I know we had a course as well on the business and executive coaching course, where,
Mm-hmm.
Brian was talking about, strengthening your strengths. And
Mm.
so how is that going for you? Because it's quite hectic for some of us. You're not sure because sometimes whenever you learn something, you make sure that you're good at it. And then now
Mm,
the lines end up being blurred. You don't know what are your strengths anymore, or just, things that you are.
mm.
So I don't know, like it becomes so overwhelming. So how's that process going for you?
So two things I realized. number one was again in the self-mastery course where we spoke about imposter syndrome and how do you get over imposter syndrome. And like my biggest takeaway from that was one of them was um, try, fail, and get feedback. So the more you get feedback, the more you get to learn, oh, is this really your strength or is it not? Or if it is your strength, what more do you need to develop? And then I think with like self-analysis, definitely just getting feedback. That's like, biggest lesson that came out for me was as you continuously get feedback from other people, from your peers and from people that are better than you, then now you get to know where do you rank. And another thing was I believe it was Mr. Tony Davis, I think, in the self-mastery course where he told us he's like, somebody is willing to pay for any skill that you're a 7 out of 10 at. So anything that you're a 7 out of 10 at. So it's once you've done that self-analysis and you figured out, okay, I'm good at A, B, and C. Now you go try and find somebody who's an expert in that thing to rank you and figure out where do you rank. So that's something that I'm in the process of now. It's like I've figured out, okay, I like A, B, and C. Now I'm trying to find those people that can now kind of rank me and let me know, am I really good at this thing or is it just me being in my own head thinking that I can do something but I can't? So just figuring that out too. Yeah, that's the self-analysis part, like how you really get to filter out what's really a strength and is it like do other people agree? Do people in that field agree?
So, like, getting feedback, or let me say construct criticism, whether it's constructive or not, it's quite shaky on the ego, right?
Yep,
And it will bruise you a bit, and then you start questioning yourself, or maybe take it some type of way.
Mm.
What would you say to someone who's struggling to receive feedback? How do you do it? I know not everyone has it all. None of us have it all figured out, but what works for you in regards to having to receive feedback in a positive way and use that feedback to your advantage or to better yourself in the future?
I think number one, so I think again, there's two answers to it. Number one would be you have to be humble. Like you really just need to bring yourself down, whatever ego you have, kind of push that to the side, swallow your pride, all that. Number one, being humble, and number two, um, you have to develop, I think, and that's something that I'm also trying to do, develop like a student mindset, a growth mindset, and a student mindset, and continuously be open to learning and have the mindset that you don't know everything. And if you're in a space where you feel like you know everything, or if you're in a room, they say if you're in a room and you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room. You should go to rooms where you're not the smartest person because that's like where you can learn the most. So I think definitely just being humble and adopting that growth mindset and always being hungry to learn. And that's done in little steps every single day, asking questions, being curious, or something.
Thank you again, Bennett. I have two more questions for you. So the second last one is how has value add impacted your life? What type of changes have you seen in yourself since you started with the value add courses?
Whew, how has it impacted me? I think it's an ongoing impact. It's not just like one thing. I think it's just been like I said in the beginning, for me personally, I think it helped give context to a lot of the content that we consume like online because a lot of it is American and it's American context and the South African context. I mean, just like now we're talking like just to have this session, the Wi-Fi could like cut at any moment. There could be load shedding. So our context is completely different. So I think how value had changed my life was just providing context to a lot of the things that are like it's American concepts or American ideas, and you're like, oh, this thing of online businesses, it only works in America, or this thing of networking on LinkedIn, it only works in America. Sometimes you have that mindset. So I think being part of Value Aid, you get to see, oh, okay, we can play, the rules are, we can do the same things, just we have to be aware of our context. So you have to know that, okay, there's load shedding at 1 o'clock. So I need to get all my work done in the morning, that type of stuff. So it definitely gave context to a lot of content that I consume, and just help me, I think, again, help me develop a growth mindset. Just always be hungry to learn. You always be hungry to learn, continuously improving. Um, you're never done learning. So that was the biggest, one of the biggest things that I took away from being part of Value.
Wow, that's amazing, Bennett. And my last question is, what would you say to a young person out there, right, who might come across this episode of Plan of Action? What would you say to that person if they come across maybe an opportunity to be part of Value Aid, maybe through a program, or just maybe through someone that is mentoring them, or whatever the case may be? How would you advise them to use this opportunity?
Ask questions. Ask questions. Like always interact. Make sure that you interact within if you're part of the sessions, interact. Don't just sit there, just like keep quiet and like be listening. Number one, I think it's always be asking questions. Um, Seize the opportunity. Seize the opportunity. You never know who's in the room. You never know who's paying attention. You never know what session is getting recorded and what snippet is going to get posted away and all of that. And you don't know what value you're going to, how much value you're going to get just from a simple idea. So seize the opportunity, continue showing up, to the sessions, and ask questions. Be very curious, be inquisitive. The mentors and the speakers are always ready to answer your questions. And if they don't know, they'll tell you and let you know, okay, I don't know the answer, but I think we can figure it out. We can come back and things like that. So always ask questions, see the opportunity, make sure that you're active, and yeah, just show up. I think just showing up is like the biggest thing you can do.
I thank you so much, Bennett, for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate it. To anyone who's watching this, please follow us on social media platforms, www.valueaid.co.za, at Value81 on TikTok, like our videos, engage with the content. Thank you so much, Bennett, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time today. Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll see you again on the next session, hopefully.
Yes,
Thank
yes, yes,
you.
definitely. Thank you for
Bye.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bennett. Bye bye.
Bye.